I'm just about ready to start doing some testing. I've got pretty much all terminations I need to have done. Here's the ECU. I've currently got it plugged into the 280 port, so it's the wiring's configured for the 280ZX as opposed to the 300ZX. There's your connection to under dash, which it gets an ignition signal, a start signal. It gets a fused B plus and a pump that goes to the pump, back out to the pump through the wire, through the body harness. I got the resistor bypass installed right now, so there's no resistors in series with the injectors. It doesn't need it. I went ahead and terminated the two fuse links and identified, just for the heck of it, which one they're for. Like one of them's for injectors and one of them's for the EFI system. Here's your here's your cylinder head temperature sensor. I got this extra long so we can plug into either on the side of the engine on the cylinder head or up by the thermostat. There's your knock sensor wire. I haven't terminated it yet. I haven't figured out quite exactly, because I have two kinds of knock sensors. I have one that has a regular EV1 type plug, like same as on the fuel injectors, or the bullet type connectors, which is the stock configuration. So I'm kind of thinking about that right now. That's a speed sensor. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I think I mentioned before that that's used for activating the self-cleaning mode of the mass airflow when you turn the ignition off. I've got the here's the airflow meter connection. I've got that plugged into the AF to the 200, yep, the 280. I have to build the other one for the 300ZX. Haven't done that yet. I'm still thinking about what I want to do with the ignition part. This is a 4-lead connector. I have the 2 leads here. The other 2 are the switched B plus and the ground, which I can do that real quickly. Here's all my grounds. They all go to, I think, 1 or 2 screws on the intake manifold. They're different grounds for different reasons. I labeled them. Here we have the this is the TPS connection. This is the air regulator. So you know, they plug up on the intake manifold right over here and here. There's your crank angle sensor. That's not the stock configuration for a 280ZX. That's the round one, but I've got one of these that will fit into the bottom of the distributor, so that'll work just fine. Here you have the O2 sensor. I've got it currently configured for the 280. The other one, the 300, is right here. That's a 300 oxygen sensor. So depending on what you're running, you know, this will plug into the standard, I think they call it the zirconia type. This is the other type, I can't remember what it's called, titania, I think. One's got a built-in heater. This utilizes the heater circuit. This does not. It just you know, it doesn't connect it up. Over here you've got the connectors for the AAC and the EGR. Those are supposed to be coming today. Here's all your injectors. I've got them all labeled. It matters on the 300ZX because they're not all batch fired. They're kind of a semi-sequential fire, 3 at a time, I think it is. And that's it. So we'll do some power up testing today. Well, I don't know about today, but we'll do some power up testing real soon. Where basically the next thing I'll do is I will plug in the fuse links to the test rig outside the engine test stand, and I'll plug in the under dash thing that hooks it all up. On the negative connector to the battery, I'll run that through a test light, and I will not plug in the computer. And then we'll just see if there's any current draw. I mean, I want to make sure there's nothing stupid going on. Configured like that, I don't think anything should draw any current at all until you turn the ignition to on. You click the ignition on in the 280 mode. I believe that energizes the EFI relay. So there'll be a slight draw of current just to show that operation of the relay coil engaging. That would really be all. Then I can go through and test the connections here at the computer. Well, the computer won't be hooked up. I'll probe and look for positive where it's supposed to be. I'll note what pins are supposed to have a positive signal on it, a positive voltage with the EFI turned on. I'll check that, make sure that works. If that works, then we can also check the grounds the same way, which is supposed to be ground. Make sure all the grounds are intact. From there, I suppose I could go through. I mean, I've already tested all the EFIs plugs. That's the one way I verified the ejector number. You know, I went back all the way back to the ECU plug and verified that, you know, number 1 was connected to a pin 101, etc. I suppose I could go through and I guess the only thing that could really be double checked, probably the most confusing aspect, would be the crank angle sensor, because there's 4 pins, there's 4 lines there, and the mass airflow, there's like on the 280, I think there's 4 lines that get used there. I could probably just compare the readings, you know, pin for pin. So in other words, I'll hook up my my volt ohm meter to a pin 1 on this thing, find out where it goes to here, and then I'll take the existing stock harness and make sure that same pin, because like I said, you get kind of confused with the pins. It can be slopped over or something like that. I really doubt that's what happened, but it doesn't hurt to double check everything. If all that checks out, so the crank angle sensor pins check to the existing stock harness, the math pins check to the existing stock harness, I guess I could probably plug in the cylinder head temperature sensor, and you know, it should be about 2,000 ohms based on the cold temp, you know, the unwarmed up engine. What else could I check? I guess I could check the air regulator. It should have there should be a resistance reading across that of about 40 to 60 ohms. I think is the heater inside that thing. So I can go through and do a few more checks down here before I plug the computer in. At the connectors, that is. I'll check the resistance measurements and the voltages and the grounds all here. If that all checks out, the next step would be to go ahead and put a test light in series with the negative lead of the battery and, you know, run current through the system. Well, and this time with the computer hooked up, that is. So the first time I did it without the computer hooked up. The second time I'll do it, I'll plug in the computer. I'll keep that test light hooked up, try it again, and make sure it doesn't it doesn't go too brightly. I mean, it will probably want to activate maybe some of the heaters. I could unplug the heaters and the test bright should go away. So there's a lot of little tests you can do, you know, kind of logic tests, what is activated when the switch is turned on, what it should be drawing in current. You can use a test light to kind of validate that everything's working right. You know what I mean? In other words, I could just plug it in and just start plugging the air regulator and see the heat come on. You know, see the test light go up. The whole idea, though, again, is just to make sure I haven't done anything really stupid. And then if all that tests out, then we can actually try it for real. And like I said, it's pretty much configured, so I should be able to just plug that sensor into the test engine. I'll probably have to do the crank angle sensor has to be swapped out because the test engine has a different kind of, the distributor has a different lead, so I'll have to swap that lead in for the distributor. And I think that's it. Oh, I haven't configured the ignition. That green lead is the only thing it really needs to test fire the ignition, so I could just rig that up. Like I said, I'm still kind of working out what I want to do here. Haven't completely figured that out. And of course, the EGR and the AAC isn't hooked up. But hopefully those connectors coming today, I might get those hooked up and be ready to roll. But we're getting close. Start doing some tests. I'll report back when I get there. Thanks for watching.